While we may not have a pick currently in the next draft class, I think it's still important to take a look at the people coming in. And in my mind, I'm seeing a consensus kind of top 4 in this class. After that, it's anybody's guess. So today we'll be going through that top 4, and we're starting with Pavel Bagaric, a 6'3" 2 guard, currently playing with the Miami Hurricanes this season. And this player is a really well-rounded guard. He has really solid defense. He can score at all 3 levels. He's not an elite scorer by any means, but he can certainly get the job done and can play make a bit too. Not much in the way of weaknesses. If you had to say weaknesses, is not so much his basketball ability as it is the fact that he's a bit undersized as a 6'3" 2 guard. I don't know if he has the handle to move to the 1 either. And he's a little bit older, being a foreign-born prospect. You know, a lot of these guys love other sports growing up, but he found basketball late, so he's 22 years old, but 5 badges on this player. Can score a bit, can defend, can play make as well. Really solid all-around player. Has that high potential. These 5 badges here, like I said. All NBA upside with Malcolm Brogdon's starter ceiling. Knows how to distribute the ball. Good anticipation and forcing turnovers, and can create a shot at the next level without any significant weaknesses. Gonna be a really good guard prospect in the upcoming draft. Up next is Josh Cameron, a forward from Michigan State. He plays a lot of the 3, can also play the 4 a bit, and this is a player who kind of does a little bit of everything, adds to the box sheet everywhere with the rebounds, the assists, the points, can get some blocks and steals as well. He's a guy that really helps affect winning for Michigan State. Projected to have one of the highest upsides in this class. He's one of the least ready now players that's going to be in the top of this draft, but he just has immense upside. Kind of like a Christian Davidson, but he has a better start. Again, ignore these colleges. I'll change these colleges to their correct ones by the time the draft comes around. But he's got Scottie Pippen upside, just an elite upside player at 6'9", 235 pounds. Only has 1 badge though, and of course that 74 overall is going to be the lowest projected overall of all the guys, but he's got a really well-rounded game. That A+ potential is what really is going to get him projected to be one of the higher picks in this class. The third guy we're going to talk about is another guard. It's another guard-heavy top of the draft, and this is a 6'6" point guard out of UCLA by the name of Lee Lewis. Now, Lewis is very much so a guy who is a score-first guard. I think he's played point guard for UCLA this season, mostly because he's just by far their best player and they want the ball in his hands. If we were in a position to draft him, of course we're not without any picks this year, I would say he'd fit better as a 2 guard. Just not much of a passer's mindset in this player, and so I think that just fits better. A little bit more off ball, especially because he has some great shooting ability. Definitely one of those guys that never really sees a shot that he doesn't like, but he can absolutely fill it up at UCLA. He's already had several really big nights, and obviously great size for a point guard spot should he stay there. And of course, if another team drafts him, he likely would. But whether he plays point guard or 2 guard, he's got really solid size. Just his game outside of scoring can be a little bit shaky. And so early on, mostly a scorer, but we'll see what he can develop. He actually has the lowest overall here, but to start out. Really good scorer though. He's risen up the draft classes a lot. Another guy with A+ potential. 2 badges, catch and shoot and corner specialist. Oscar Robertson, Hall of Fame upside. This is some really good upside I'm seeing here. Nice shooting form. Should be an all-star someday and has creative ball handling skills, but doesn't reliably finish when he gets to the rim. But 6'6", 204, pretty good stuff we're seeing here. Now the last guy we're going to talk about today is another potential superstar point guard prospect. 6'7", 235 pounds is Sheldon Starks, the point guard out of Texas. Of course, we're just coming off a class where we saw Damian Harvey and Malachi Pope go 1 and 2 as these really big point guards with a lack of any real weakness, and Sheldon Starks is another one of those point guards. He can score at any level. He can get to the inside. He can shoot from the perimeter. He can play make, get his teammates involved. He can also defend at an incredible level, uses that size. He's a great athlete. There really is no weakness. And he is honestly on the same tier that we just saw from Harvey and Pope. There's just a ton of really good, really big point guards coming into the class right now. To compare him to those guys, I think Starks is the best shooter of those 3. And, you know, we've seen Malachi Pope. He can definitely have some really good shooting nights. Starks might be a little bold to say this. I think he eventually has maybe best shooter in the league potential. He has just an incredible stroke and he hits shots on the move like you're seeing here off the catch. It doesn't matter. This is one of those guys that you draft him and you've got your point guard for the foreseeable future, no doubt. Hard to see this guy missing at the next level. If he was in the last class, I might have had him as number 1. I think he is the best of the 3. Obviously, we're splitting hairs between them, but he has 7 badges as well, which is more than Harvey, less than Pope had last year, with the Hall of Fame ceiling, much like those guys had. All of his strengths are related to his defense. His defense is incredible. His shooting is incredible. He's just a really good prospect. Our scouts don't like his scoring, but he's actually a really good scorer. If we go here, yeah, A+. So last year we learned that when our scouts are different from the consensus, they're usually wrong. But the great IQ, the great athleticism, I mean, he doesn't defend the post, so what? He's a point guard, you know what I mean? Just really a lack of weaknesses in this player, and whoever gets lucky enough to land the number 1 pick in this next draft is going to get an absolute stud and future superstar in Sheldon Starks. Another thing I want to talk about in the beginning of this episode is that I have started to try to find a good trade partner for Wilson Fisher. Unfortunately, the only team that offered me a first was the Spurs, and it just does not make sense at all for them to trade for a point guard. As if you go here, you'll see that they've taken a point guard in the first round of each of the last 3 draft classes, and they're all either at or above Wilson Fisher's level, so they have no need to trade for a Wilson Fisher. But they're the only team that offered us a first, and like a lottery protected, projected to be late first is kind of what I want. I just want a pick that we could either use down the road or use in a trade. Not looking for a good pick, not like when we traded Jaden Hardy. I don't think Wilson Fisher is worth as much as Jaden Hardy was at that time. And so until a better offer comes around, there are some teams that he could actually even start on. They just are tough trade partners for us because either they don't have any picks or the salaries are weird, and we can't find any that will match. So for now, we're going to hold off on a Wilson Fisher trade, although he is quite angry with us. He's down 3 overall, as you're seeing here. He's a 76 overall player, down to 73. He wants playing time. We ended last episode on December 27th, and since then, we've kind of gotten into a bit of a cold stretch If you just look at January on, we are 2-7 currently in January. We've fallen to 23-19, which is good for 7th in the East. I think we finished the last episode tied for 3rd or tied for 2nd. I can't remember. It was really early in the season, so a bunch of teams were clumped up. But you're starting to see the teams separate a bit here, and we're on a bit of a cold stretch now. I will say we've had a couple of minor injuries, including one that we have going on right now with Sidney Lowry. Not enough to take them out or anything, but Pope just barely came off of a minor injury he was dealing with for a couple of weeks. His numbers went down a bit. He's down to just 14 points a game on under 42%. And Lowry is currently going through it. He's been going through it for the last couple of games as well. So looking to get out of this cold stretch, we've got a tough team here in Detroit, who's currently at that number 2 spot, tied with the Pacers in the entire conference. This is a team that has just had some bad luck in the playoffs with injuries, but I think they've had one of, if not the most talented roster in basketball now for a couple of seasons, ever since they made the Giannis acquisition after signing Kawhi in free agency the previous offseason. This big four is incredible. They've struggled for depth behind them. That kind of is what happens when you have an insanely highly paid, top four. I'm surprised that they've been able to keep Cunningham and Ivy with those Leonard and Giannis contracts, but they've been able to do it. And this is one of the top contenders in the East, and I want to see how we stack up against the top. We've been winning a lot more in our spotlight games this season. Want to see if we can do it against the best of the best. So let's go ahead and hop in and find out. Can we end the losing streak against one of the best teams in the NBA? Let's tune in and find out. Of course, making it harder is the fact that Sidney Lowry is not at 100% as he starts things off with a miss. Ed Cunningham on the other end gets the hoop and the foul. Andre Stevens with the foul. So Detroit strikes first. Lowry, another good look from 3. This time he gets it to fall through. Pope with the assist. Now Kawhi going inside on Lowry. But Lowry's defense is strong, as it so often is. Pick and roll. Dish inside to Andre the Giant, who finishes his off glass. Ed Cunningham has some space from the mid-range, and he is very good if you give him the room to operate from that area. Pope, nice dish inside to his fellow Duke rookie, Francis Mullins. Cutter play gets Giannis a wide open dunk. Moody, shot clock winding down, needs to find something. Got himself a good look. Nice patience there to use the entirety of the shot clock and not panic. Pope pulls up from the elbow, misses that one. Giannis on the other end from the mid-range, rattles out. More pick and roll, been a heavy dose of that early on in this one for us. But Lowry just missed that one. That one was hanging up there for a minute. Detroit the other way. Going up top for Giannis, and he slams it home. Nice pass from Cade. More pick and roll. This time, dishing inside to Ernest Augustine, who just checked in. He hits his first free throw. Missed the second. Splits them as he so often does. Detroit the other way, find Giannis again. And he finishes inside once more. Giannis inside has been a problem for us, and now Mullins trying to back down Nerlens Noel. But a well-timed contest gets him a block. Moody now. Shot clock winding down again. He's forced to take a shot, but he's done well in these late shot clock moments. Cade trying to pull up on Malachi Pope, but the defense was right there. Moody now wide open in the corner, and he has had himself a nice start. Mullins and Moody are probably the two guys that have the only solid matchups where they're not playing elite defenders, where you got Kawhi, Giannis, Cade, maybe not necessarily elite, but he's very, very good defensively as he hits that three. And so you can see here, it's been very tough for us to score as Mullins just throws it right to Detroit there. Step back the other way from Ivy. Won't fall for him. Mullins trying to find Pope again on the cut, and again it is stolen. The help defense right there for Detroit on both of those cutting plays. Giannis with a tough finish despite the double team. Lowry isolating, and the block comes from Clark Gaines. So we take a look here at the Eastern Conference standings quickly. Giannis finds a wide open Cade, but he can't finish. Sam Hudson left wide open off of the help defense. Mullins did a nice job finding him. Pick and roll. Cade again from the mid-range, and we can't keep giving him that spot. He's going to make us pay from there more often than not, as Giannis once again gets himself a bucket. He's been a problem for us in the first, as you might expect Giannis to be. Mullins from the free throw line. Could have earned himself a couple of free throws on that drive. First one, and now he has a chance to tie it if he goes 2 for 2, and he does. Cade quickly firing deep off of the catch, and he hits it. Impressive shot. Lowry has a chance to respond. Pure, and it's tied at 23 apiece. High screen and roll. First quarter winding down. Clark Gaines inside, missed the shot. Nice contest from Ernest Augustine. And that's going to end the first quarter 23 apiece. Both teams playing nice defense, forcing turnovers and also forcing some tough shots. And neither team so far really able to gain an edge. Pope with a steal here to start the third quarter. On the other end, Davidson from the wing, but too much on that three-point attempt. Cade from the mid-range, and that little free throw line extended jumper has been money for him in the first quarter and change as Pope gets himself to the line. Opportunity to score his first points, but he missed the first free throw, so it'll settle for just the one. Davidson forced to take a top three deep in the shot clock. Detroit's defense was all ready for that cross-court pass. And then in transition, they find Kenrich Williams. AC Stevens has Isaiah Joe in the post and takes advantage of the mismatch. Ty Washington, nice job creating separation on the drive. Little floater falls. Davidson, a much cleaner look this time, but again, he missed it. Ty going the other way, finding Cade Cunningham inside. And he gets the finish over Pope. Andre missed Pope on the cut. Comes back around and attempts the mid-ranger, but beautiful defense by Detroit, and the defense has just been good. Feels like most of the shots we're being forced to take are tough ones here. Andre Stevens trying to isolate against Gaines, but Gaines has been playing some good defense. But ultimately, Stevens gets the bucket. Ty from deep off the dribble. Hits it, and the Pistons are up 6. Davidson, another three-point attempt. Not falling early for him. AC Stevens cleans up the boards. Okay, that one rims out. Finally, he missed a shot from that range. It feels like he's been money from there. Andre to AC, and the dunk is there. The Stevens brothers connecting for another basket. Andre the Giant getting the assist. Gaines pulls up from the mid-range off the pick and roll. But he's not quite as good as Cade at that range, and we throw it straight to Detroit once again. These cutter plays, it looks like Detroit has scouted us, and they've been all over them, getting the steals frequently when we attempt them. Another great possession defensively by Detroit. Gonna give them an opportunity in the fast break, and Clark Gaines slams it home. Tight splitting defenders and getting to the basket. Draws the foul from A.C. Stevens. And he gets the and one play. Pistons up 9. Malachi needs something to fall for him, and he gets one there. His first basket of the game. Came much later than we usually like it to come. Tight left wide open, top of the key. And now it's a double-digit lead for Detroit. Malachi going inside. Gets his shot blocked by Gaines, but A.C. Stevens with the follow-up. An unintentional assist, we'll say. As Giannis just destroys our defense in the post. Davidson, little free throw line extended jumper falls. He needed a jumper as well. A.C. Stevens blocked by Gaines. This guy is an excellent defender. He's making plays all over the place. And Baldwin fouls Kawhi on the step back midi. He makes the free throw. 49-38 in favor of the Pistons. We just can't score against this team, man. As Giannis makes his pay for leaving him alone. Top of the key. Baldwin finds Lowry with 1 second left, but that was a beautiful shot. And a nice find from Baldwin. Tight once again, top of the key. Gonna miss that one. Nashville trying to find something the other way, but Gaines with the steal. This guy is a playmaker defensively. Blocks and steals and deflections all over the place here in this first half. Hudson gets fouled on a three-point attempt. He, I think, has the highest rated free throw rating in like the mid-80s on our team, so if there's anybody you want taking free throws, it's him, and he nails all three. Cade up top for Giannis once again, and that connection has worked quite often for Detroit. Kawhi just pickpockets Sidney Lowry there, making it look easy. Now Sam Hudson stepping back to end the first half. And it's going to be 54-44 as Giannis makes that, but he just shot it too late. So it will remain that 10-point deficit. A lot of struggles there in the second quarter for our team. Nobody up to double digits in the first half. I don't think I've seen that at all this year. But again, just really tough defense from the Pistons here. Forcing some turnovers. Mullins had 3 turnovers. Not characteristic of him. A bunch of people had 1 all over the board. Had several people shooting below 50%. We did a decent job against Giannis and Cade, keeping them, around 50%, or at least in Cade's case, but just not good enough. As you see, the Pistons are shooting quite a bit better than us and lead us in most of these categories, but 10 turnovers to 2 is really, I think, the difference. We've been trying a lot of cutting plays, and Detroit has been all over them. Giannis gets the second half started with the shot from the post. Andre Stevens trying to come back and match it, but it's blocked by Giannis. Cade gets it to Nerlens Noel, who finishes through Francis Mullins' contact. He's not happy about the foul call, but regardless, it's a three-point play for the Pistons. Pope with the steal, but then he stopped running. Why did you stop running? He's going to get the foul call, but he could have had an easy layup or dunk had he just kept running after he stole the ball. It's 2 points nonetheless, so we're fine. Giannis isolating on the left wing. Gets past Andre Stevens and gets the basket. Detroit up 15. Stevens going inside. Whips it to Pope, but he was covered well, and we continue to have problems just finding easy shots against the Pistons. As Mullins blocks that one off the backboard. I got to see this one again. The help defense comes at the perfect time. And that one comes careening off the glass. Oh, probably the best look he's been able to get all night. As Cade's giving him a lot of troubles, but he couldn't quite get that one to go. Lowry with it now, defended by Kawhi, finds a good passing lane to feed Mullins on the inside. It's the first free throw. The second is also pure. Pick and roll. Cade just got that one to rim out. We're going the other way. Francis Mullins with the transition basket. Back down to 13. But Cade here with it. Gets the pick and roll. Late in the shot clock. That's a tough shot. The defense was right there, but Cade hit it anyway. Cade again, this time on the inside. And gets the basket off of Francis Mullins' third foul of the game. And now it's a 19-point Detroit lead. We need something offensively. Davidson hits a tough shot. First time, I know his second make, I should say, of this game. As Cade has really come alive here in the third and become quite unstoppable. Lowry. It's a shot from the mid-range. The most quiet game from Lowry we've seen, and I think you gotta say a lot of that's due to the injury, but also a decent portion you gotta assign to the fact that he's been guarded by Kawhi in this game. I think Kawhi's given him a lot of problems. Trying to go up top for Lowry here. It's stolen away. Detroit in transition, and Jaden Ivey with a nice finish. Down by 22. Francis Mullins. It's the corner three. Nice to see him hit a shot here. 19 points. Mullins gets another look. Top of the key. This time. No good. Giannis finding Nerlens Noel in transition for the easy dunk. Back down by 20 plus. Ivy. No good on that tough jumper. We're going the other way. And finding Francis Mullins, who's been the only guy that's been able to score for us lately here in the third. Cade goes inside. Great defense by Sidney Lowry. Forcing the miss there. And we're stolen from another cutting play. Detroit they definitely looked at the scouting report for us, I'll say that. Ernest Augustine, no good. Way too short on that three-point attempt. Detroit finds Cade wide open from beyond the arc. And we're down by 24. We get a wide open look for Patrick Baldwin, one of our most pure shooters on the team. He makes Detroit pay for one of the few times they've given us an open look here. But they answer it right back with 1.5 seconds left in the third. Down by 24 going into the fourth. I don't even think we can score 24 points in a quarter. And so I'm just going to be asking for a mercy rule killing here in the fourth. And we'd end up losing this game by 20, 106 to 86. Mullins ends up leading the scoring here. 5 of 13 from the field. Got himself a double-double, as did AC Stevens. But this team, as good as it's been through the first several episodes of this year, this game just really highlighted how dependent we are on a dominant Sidney Lowry. And when he's not there, it's not as good for us. Finishing off today's episode, I just wanted to quickly talk about some comments from the last episode. I had already played the gameplay portion of this episode and everything that came before that, but just talking a little bit about the looks for guys like Sidney Lowry and Francis Mullins. We changed Sidney Lowry in the offseason. I'm willing to maybe add or change some stuff more in the offseason, but I think we'll wait till then for him. Mullins, though, I just did some minor adjustments to him. I didn't really add much. I just kind of changed the colors of some stuff so they'll maybe pop more, because here on the home unis, both his armband and his wrist rubber band or whatever it's called were both black, which means you couldn't really see them all that well. And then I just added some knee pads so you can kind of have like that black, white, black going down the legs, just to add a little bit of something, because it was just all one solid color before. And then on the away unis, it'll look like this. Definitely willing to revisit this and maybe add more come the off season. I think he would be a great option for like a tattoo. I could just, I don't know, just this first sleeve. I'm not gonna put it on him now, but just to see kind of a preview, do something like that. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good on him. So maybe some tattoos or additional stuff in the off season for him. But yeah, certainly if you guys feel like somebody doesn't have enough, personality, I'm always willing to change them up a bit. That doesn't mean I'm going to implement every suggestion, but I'm definitely at least going to check them out. I did check out Sidney Lowry with a headband. Don't think that's going to happen. I'll just say that. But we end this episode on January 24th, and we just got on this January 23rd game an injury. I'm sure you saw it here when I was looking at this and I just didn't talk about it. Not a very long one, but Andre Stevens cannot play for the next couple of weeks. And so this will be the lineup that we're going with. In the meantime, already made those changes. Now Malachi Pope and Francis Mullins will be sharing minutes, whereas it's been Lowry and Mullins most of this year. I just feel like Pope needs the help in his lineups more than Sidney Lowry does, and so those guys will be mirroring in minutes alongside Ernest Augustine, and then Baldwin is basically gonna be playing a lot of extra. His minutes go up to 28. A few more minutes go to Christian Davidson as well. And this is what we'll be rocking with for the next week or two until Andre Stevens comes back, and we'll head back to our original lineup. So there you go with that. As you can see, just not a very good month for us so far, January. But we do have a few wins in the last 4 weeks that we can go over the box scores here. Firstly, we have a barn burner here, not even an overtime game, against the Bucks. Lowry had 38 and 8 there. Andre Stevens put up a really good performance. Malachi with a double-double here, and you'd like to see that. Atlanta, we'd pick up a win. Jerry Childress leading them. Remember him from his draft class. Lowry with 22, 9, and 6 in that one. Mullins with 19. Andre Stevens double. And this is one Malachi Pope got his minor injury. It was right around here. So he started to begin his cold streak here. A really nice team victory with 7 people in double figures here, led by Lowry, as we normally are. And then of course we'd go on a 5-game losing streak, which is not great, but we'd snap it here with a 28, 3, and 5 game from Lowry alongside a 26, 9, and 5 game from Francis Mullins. He's starting to turn things on a little bit here. I would have said before this episode, I think Malachi Pope was favorite for Rookie of the Year from this team, but I think Francis Mullins is starting to overtake him a bit. If we go and look at the rookie report, he's definitely overtaken him in points, and Pope's now only tied with Harvey. Harvey's starting to pick things up a little bit. Field goal percentage continues to drop for him, but I'm not too worried about it. Obviously, still very high on Malachi and what he can do for us, but he is just going through a little bit of a mid-season slump in his rookie year, partly caused by injury, but even since he's been back, he hasn't been quite himself. So, hoping he can bounce back soon, as we are nearing the All-Star break, just past the midway point in the season. We are now the 8th seed in the East. And it just became clear with this episode that we're a good team, we're an exciting team, probably a playoff team, although we're only in the play-in right now, but not quite yet on the level of these upper echelon teams in the East. And that's okay, because we're very young and we still have a ton of growing to do. But in terms of this episode, that is all I've got. Hope you enjoyed it despite the losing streak. I did for sure. We'll be back soon with a new episode. And until then, sound up.